Thank you so much for coming along. It's really great to see so many of you here ready to fight the good fight. So I'm Angie Smith, and for those of you who don't know, I stood last time we had a general election just 2 years ago in 2017, and together we managed to double the vote for Labour in this constituency. So just to tackle a myth before I get going, the Liberal Democrats are not the tactical vote in this constituency. Labour is the tactical vote within this constituency. We came second last time, we had more than double the Liberal Democrat vote, and we can do this, but we can only do this together as a team. So I want to tell you a little bit about why I would like you to fight for Labour within this constituency and why I would like you to vote for me. So I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story about myself. I probably won't go on for too long, but I just want to forewarn you for anybody who may have similar experiences that it could be a little bit difficult to hear. And if you do need any help afterwards, please do come and speak to me, because this is now my job. But I want to tell you a little bit about how I got into politics. So I live now here in Uckfield. Previously I lived in Hailsham, so I've lived in Wealden constituency for about 13 years. I now live with a lovely man, Ashley, my husband, and my 2 children, who are both young adults. But prior to that, I lived in Brighton for a number of years, and I was married to a different man, the father of my children, and he was very, very abusive. He was physically abusive and he was psychologically abusive. I had a number of injuries. I won't go into the graphic detail about those, but basically it was a miserable time. During that period, it was the most difficult period of my life. I was on benefits, literally trying to make £20 worth of food last for a whole week, buying nappies out of that money. I used to have to take the kids down to Asda's in a double buggy, try and cart all the shopping back, what little shopping that we could get. And it was a really, really difficult time. Eventually I got to the point where I wanted to leave, and I can tell you that back then there wasn't that much help forthcoming. I went to the local authority because we lived in a council house, and they basically told me that the only real option was to go and move into temporary accommodation. Temporary accommodation, for those of you who don't know, is generally bed and breakfast accommodation. We're not talking a seaside hotel here, we're talking about grotty rooms basically shared with one family that are occupied by other people with great vulnerability, so people with alcohol needs, drug needs, etc. Generally they don't have any cooking facilities. You're left to have to go and buy food with the little money you have. So perhaps unsurprisingly, I decided that I didn't want to go down that road. Time went by and it got to the point really where I had to leave. It was becoming too dangerous, and I knew that my life was potentially at risk, and I knew that my children were suffering because of what was going on. So I actually one day just walked out. We said that we were going down the co-op, me and the kids, and we left with just the clothes we were wearing. It was quite a lot of clothes. They looked like a abominable snowman. There had so many layers of clothing on, but it was still the clothes that we were standing up in. At that point, I was really lucky because my family stepped in. I'd been estranged from them from a number of years, but they stepped in and they helped me, and I did manage to get accommodation. But that has really given me a fire and a drive to help people and to stand up for injustices, because I have suffered those same injustices myself. So what I have done since then is to try to build a life to that end. So I now work within domestic violence. I've had a number of different jobs within the sector. So for example, I've worked in the local refuge here in Wealden, and now I have more of a strategic role. So I write bids and try and keep services going in this difficult financial environment. I also have studied and tried to better myself in that way. So I undertook a degree with the Open University, a degree in health and social care, which took me several years. And of course that's a privilege that many people don't have nowadays, because the Open University is so poorly funded and the government has changed the mechanisms for funding higher education that that's not accessible anymore, which I think is a great shame. After that I went on and did a master's degree in women and child abuse. And I did a research project which I'm really proud to say, has garnered national attention. The research was focused on welfare benefit reforms and how they impact on people experiencing domestic abuse. And they just showed a raft of ways in which people are negatively impacted by the policies of this government and the coalition government prior to that. So people who cannot leave because they have no temporary accommodation to go to. They cannot go into refuges because refuge provision is underfunded and many have closed down under this government. They can't move into their own accommodation because they can't meet the rent because of the bedroom tax or the benefit cap. And I think that is disgraceful. Even the safety net of welfare benefits is not available to those people anymore. I was able to leave and basically the next day be down the job centre making a claim in my own name for income support when I left. Now you have to wait 5 weeks before universal credit kicks in. That is no safety net at all. And the thing that disgusts me the most is that the government were warned about the impact of those benefits before they actually set them up. And they just went ahead with them and did it all the same. It's just indicative to me that they just do not care about the people of this country. So the reason I got into politics was I was speaking to a number of women on the phone and they were telling me similar stories to I've just told you. They were not able to leave, they were trapped in abusive relationships, and all because of systemic failures of this government to put in place policies that actually work for the 99% of people. So I knew that the only way to actually achieve change was to step up myself and try to get a platform in national politics. And this is why I stand here before you today asking you to work to help me to become a Member of Parliament in this constituency. This is not an unwinnable battle. Don't let people, the naysayers, turn you away from this. We can do this if we all work together and we all try our best to overturn Conservative ruling and complacency within this constituency. Now, we've already mentioned the fact that I doubled the vote for Labour with my team in 2017. I believe that we can do that again. But more than that, I think that we can galvanise people who do not normally vote within this constituency. Nearly 20,000 people did not vote in the 2017 general election. With your help, we can go out and we can overturn that. We can talk to people about why a Labour government would work for them and why politics actually matters to them, because they feel so disconnected right now. They just feel like politics is nothing to do with them. We must give them a different message. So just on Sunday, for example, I was out door knocking in Ridgewood in Uckfield, and I met a guy who was on disability benefits, and he told me that he doesn't normally vote. When I started to talk to him about some of Labour's policies on welfare reform, for example, the fact that they will end benefit sanctions, the fact that they will end the punitive regime of fit for work assessments for people with disabilities, he really listened, and he actually started to get the fact that politics could have a meaning for him. These are the sort of conversations that we need to be having on the doorstep. But I can't do that on my own. I need your help to do that. You are part of a team working together to achieve change within Wealden. That's why I hope that you're here today, because you want to actually achieve that change. So I would ask you to do whatever you possibly can in order to move this forward. Whether you are not particularly mobile and you can just do sharing on social media, even if you just talk to your neighbours, if you have a poster up in your front window, we need to overturn the feeling that Labour is not for Wealden. We can absolutely do this. We currently have a Member of Parliament who is barely visible within the constituency. This is not right for the people of Wealden. We need to be thinking about how we can help the 99% of people that this government is letting down. We don't need to be fighting for the 1%, which is the Conservative mantra. Let's protect people's wealth. Let's stop them paying their proper tax, etc. I want you to work with me to achieve a Labour victory within Wealden. We can do this, and I want your help to do that. So thank you very much.